Hello and welcome to the channel for those who want to excel at exams, work and languages. Today we're going to talk about, pay attention, because so many people ask me, okay, I struggle being focused, how can I do, should I have a break, should I not, how long should I pay attention for? Today we're going to see how to override your attention span so that you can really be extremely productive. First of all, let's understand what affects your attention span. Because at times people tell me, I have a very short attention span, which may be true, because one of the factors that affect your attention span is your attention span. But your attention span of that day will be defined not just by your average attention span, but by a series of factors that are not completely in your control, or at least not completely predictable in advance. Because your chronotype will have an effect. The kind of material that you're working on, the task you're working on, how many things are going on in your mind, how much you have slept, how well you have eaten, if you have exercised or not. So there's so many things that affect what your attention span will be that day that it's impossible to predict it in advance. So how can we do? First of all, we need to understand one principle that will be fundamental in order to structure our day and our plan in terms of productivity. And it's the way in which breaks should be taken. There's a mistake that a lot of people make, and it is that they take a break when they are tired. And when I say this, some people may think, okay, wait, why is that a mistake? When I'm tired, I have a break. The problem is that if you wait until you are very tired, exhausted, in order to have a break, what happens is that your momentum is broken. You are tired, you need to recharge, so you don't have any energy left, and you will need to use that break to restore that energy, and it will be so much harder to start again. Have you ever done one of those days in which you work for 5-6 hours in a row? You're extremely productive there, but then as soon as you take a break, that's it. You can't start working anymore. Yes, because that's not how it's supposed to be. I imagine momentum as a huge stone wheel. And if you start pushing it, initially it takes you some energy. But once it's rolling, even if it slows down, it's enough to just push it a little bit more so that it can start again. If you stop it completely, so if you wait until you're exhausted to have your break, then it will be so much harder to push it again. So, have breaks that you plan in advance. Now, how often should you have a break? And for this, I'm going to use a technique that a lot of people are familiar with, and I'm going to tell you what is very good with this technique and what we need to be aware of and how we can override that problem. The technique is called Pomodoro technique. I love it not just because it has an Italian name, but also because it's very effective. How does it work? Pomodoro technique works like this. You start focusing on your task. You set a timer for 25 minutes, and the guy who invented it used the timer of the ones that you use in a kitchen, shaped as a tomato. That's why it's called Pomodoro, because Pomodoro in Italian means tomato. And after the timer goes off, so in those 25 minutes, you focus completely on the task that you have in front of you without thinking about anything else. But at the end of those 25 minutes, as soon as the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute break. You go on like that for 4 cycles before taking a longer break. Now, this is how the Pomodoro technique works, and it is amazing. It's really wonderful. There's only one problem. The problem is that in the moment in which the timer goes off after 25 minutes, at times you are so in the zone, especially if you're used to paying attention for a longer time, that you are there, you're in the zone. You don't want to have a break, you just want to keep going. So, how have we adapted the technique in order to put together the efficacy and effectiveness of the Pomodoro technique with the fact that at times you may want to go on for longer? I'm going to tell you now. To tell you, I just want to create a little bit of background. The attention span that I suggest you not to overcome, so the limit in terms of how long you should go on for on a task that you're working on, should be 90 minutes. Why 90 minutes? Because maybe you may be able to go on for longer, but then the momentum problem will happen. And so starting over again will be harder. So try not to go beyond 90 minutes. So how can you do? Let's put these two pieces of knowledge together. You start working 25 minutes with your timer, Pomodoro. Once the timer goes off, rather than having the break immediately, have a reality check. It may happen that you are tired, so you want to have your 5-minute break. Or on the other side, you may be like, no, please let me work a bit more because I'm in the zone. So in that case, you set the timer again for another 25 minutes. At that point, if you haven't had your break, you will get to the second timer going off and it will be 50 minutes. So another reality check. If you are tired or almost tired, you have a 10-minute break. If you are still in the zone, completely immersed in what you're doing, what do? Another timer again, 25 minutes. If you set the timer for the third time in a row, it will be 75 minutes. At 75 minutes, you have another check. If you're tired, you have a 15-minute break. If, on the other hand, you are really still in the zone, you can set it for another 15 minutes because at that point, you will get to 90 minutes and we said no longer the 90 minutes. By doing this, you can predict the unpredictable because as we said, your attention span of that day, on that task, at that time of the day, with those things in your mind is unpredictable. So this is the best way that you have in order to make sure that if it is a day in which you are less focused, more distractions, 25 minutes, great, you can use the Pomodoro technique and go on. But if on the other hand, you find yourself very immersed in what you're doing, then at that point, you don't need to break your momentum with a break. You can simply keep going, but without going beyond the extra time that's suggested, which is 90 minutes. By doing this, you will find yourself extremely focused in what you're doing. In another video, we're going to see what strategies you can apply also to work on distraction throughout those minutes in which you're working. But for today, start applying this technique and you will see that your productivity will go up immediately.